Hi, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Candy.
Ready to take your plea?
Yeah! I'll kill all you. I hope you die in prison as well.
Colorado seems like a pretty good place to get mile high on medicinal marijuana. But if you're trying to bring your bud into a Denver courthouse, that's a different story. We kick things off at the Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse in Denver. The man in the white shirt is in possession of medical marijuana containers and wants to bring them into the courthouse. This is legal in the Mile High City, as long as you have a valid medical marijuana card. But when the man can't produce his card, he's asked to leave. At first, he refuses, but eventually gives in and is escorted toward the door. That's when the entire situation gets turned upside down. After grabbing the last of his belongings, the man's escorted away by two deputies. According to the police report, he then stopped and raised a closed fist before continuing toward the exit. But before he makes it there, this deputy grabs the man around the neck, lifts him up, and slams him face first into the floor. Additional deputies rush in and surround the subject. He's then pulled to his feet and dragged away. The incident was later reviewed by the Denver Department of Public Safety, who determined the deputy's use of force was inappropriate, and he was fired. The victim claimed he suffered a concussion and later filed a civil lawsuit against the deputy. The suit was still pending when this program was produced.
I'm sitting there and I'm seeing it all, and I would convict myself.
Next, we head to Phoenix, Arizona, for the sentencing of Elizabeth Johnson. She's been convicted of unlawful imprisonment in the disappearance of her 8-month-old baby, Gabriel. Johnson was in a custody battle with the boy's father, Logan McQuarrie. When she decided to leave town, he recorded the conversation and heard some horrifying news.
Are you with Gabriel?
I have to kill him this morning.
What?
Killed him this morning.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You did not hurt Gabriel.
Yes, I did. I suffocated him. I'm almost out on the suffocated and he drank blue. Because I put him in a paper bag and I put him in a trash can.
Johnson would later claim the story was untrue, and Gabriel was alive and well. Johnson told authorities she gave Gabriel to a couple she met in San Antonio, but didn't know their names. Police investigated, but couldn't confirm that couple existed. Because police couldn't find Gabriel, Johnson was only later convicted of unlawful imprisonment and custodial interference. Today, she stands before Judge Joseph Kramer for sentencing. The maximum she can receive is 9.5 years in prison. Before announcing his decision, the judge dispels any ideas Johnson may have about her future.
And I know, Ms. Johnson, you were hoping today to walk out of here a free person, but you're not going to walk out of this courtroom a free woman today. You're not.
The 26-year-old silently mouths, "I know." When given a chance to speak, Johnson does not ask for leniency.
I was selfish. I had no right to make that decision by myself. And you know what? There's not much I can say for myself. I know I was wrong. Regardless of my story, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, Gabriel is still missing and it's my fault.
Johnson then offers her opinion on the appropriate length of her sentence.
What I have done is, unconscionable. What I have done is just... it's unbelievable, and I would convict myself. I'm watching everything, and it is horrible. I do deserve the maximum, I do.
But Judge Joseph Kramer shows Johnson some mercy due to her lack of criminal record and troubled upbringing by sentencing her to just over 5 years in prison. And since she's already served 3 years while awaiting trial, that meant she got to go home in just over 2. After serving her time, Johnson remarried and is currently living in New Mexico. Meanwhile, the San Antonio couple Johnson claims she gave the baby to have not been found, and the whereabouts of baby Gabriel remain a mystery. Next, we head to Muskogee, Oklahoma. It's 1:45 p.m. Corey Roan has just been ordered into custody. He's been charged with possession of a firearm after a felony conviction, as well as resisting arrest, possession, illegal drugs, and escaping from prison. He's in the 3rd floor courtroom, which, based on this footage, does not appear to have much in the way of courtroom security. Roan is speaking to his attorney when he apparently decides it's time to go.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Get a deputy, have this guy arrested right now. He's got a run.
Roan makes a run for it. At least 3 court employees are in pursuit. He heads for the stairs. And reaches the 1st floor, where he takes off past an empty security desk. With the courthouse exit in his sights, there's just one deputy standing between him and the street. But Roan, who's 6'3" and 215 pounds, shows no sign of slowing down. Roan takes the deputy with him, right into the metal detector. Roan makes it to the parking lot and escapes. A warrant's immediately issued for his arrest, but a few days later, he turns himself in. He's charged with escape and assault against the deputy. His case is currently pending. As for the officer, he suffered a gash to his face that required stitches, but was released from the hospital and made a full recovery. For our next story, we need to warn you. It contains images that may be disturbing for some viewers. We're in Knoxville, Tennessee for the trial of 32-year-old Joel Guy Jr. He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the vicious killing and dismemberment of his own parents. Joel Guy Sr., his wife Lisa. It was the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend. Lisa Guy had not shown up for work, and her employer made a call to police.
I have an employee that has not reported for work today and highly unlike her. Could somebody go by and check on them? I'll send a call over to officers. Have them swing by.
When officers arrived, they discovered a grisly scene.
Hello, Sheriff's Office! Police! Sheriff's Office! Knox County Sheriff's Office! We're here to check everyone. Good, Sheriff?
Inside, police found the remains of Joel and Lisa, who were both stabbed over 30 times and dismembered. Their son, Joel Jr., was the first and only suspect. He'd spent Thanksgiving with his parents and made charges to his father's credit card after the murders. His parents had been supporting the 28-year-old for years and recently told Guy they were cutting him off financially. Police believe Guy was angry and hoped to cash in on his parents' life insurance policy. He was charged with first-degree premeditated murder and abuse of 2 corpses. He pled not guilty. At trial, the prosecutor described the viciousness of the attacks and Guy's attempt to eliminate the evidence. All while Guy listened to the graphic description of the crime scene.
He covered them with a corrosive substance and left them there to liquefy into some sort of diabolical stew of human remains.
The jury was shown surveillance footage of the defendant with a hand wound buying products, apparently to help dispose of the bodies.
She paid for the tubs that she and her husband disintegrated in.
And perhaps most incriminating was Guy's notebook, which contained written excerpts outlining his plan, including one that read, "Get plastic sheeting for disposal process," and "Money, all mine, $500,000. After hearing all the testimony and reviewing the evidence, the jury returned with a unanimous verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Joel Michael Guy, guilty of first-degree premeditated murder of Joel Guy Sr.
Count number 2, please.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Joel Michael Guy, guilty of first-degree premeditated murder of Lee Guy.
Before sentencing, family members gave impact statements about the victims and the nightmare they were forced to live through.
The next day after we buried Joel and Lisa, my mother died. She truly died of a broken heart. The impact of this crime is notorious. We will never, ever be the same.
I am Joel and Lisa's daughter.
You'll never know what it is like to have to tell your children that their grandparents have been chopped up and put in acid.
The last person to speak was the judge, Steve Sword.
This was the best. I don't see any potential rehabilitation in Mr. Guy. I was watching him during the trial. He showed absolutely no remorse of what he had done. Quite frankly, Mr. Guy, you look like you're kind of proud of what you had accomplished.
Guy was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 4 additional years for his treatment of the remains. He won't be eligible for parole until the year 2071, and he'd be 83 years old.
7 William Dennis.
For our next story, we head to Kauai County, Hawaii. The defendant is William Dennis, who's in court without a lawyer to face the charge of driving with a suspended license. All eyes are on Dennis as he approaches. Clad in a blue robe and a headpiece, he immediately addresses the court.
Well, my knowledge of the facts is with this claim of this standing with this microphone,
Sir?
of the documentation with the
Sir?
continuation of the evidence
Sir?
by this peaceful volition.
Dennis has been rambling for more than 10 seconds now, but the judge allows him to continue.
Sir, unless you stand there, you're not being recorded anyway.
So the claimant's knowledge of the fact is with avoidance of the boxes and planes with this closed area-court room by the unity consciousness.
Dennis obviously has a thing for hyphens, so the judge attempts to get things back on track with a simple question.
Okay, what's your name?
Well, my knowledge of my peaceful volition is with avoidance of the perjury, with this participation of correct sentence structure communication passe syntax grammar.
If you're counting at home, that is 7 hyphens in just that answer alone. Thankfully, the judge steps in.
Okay, well, we have a lot of folks waiting here, and I would hope that you would be courteous to the other human beings that are in the courtroom today, waiting their turn to be heard. What do other human beings call you?
Well, my knowledge of the facts.
Perhaps hoping to avoid an extended answer, the prosecutor chimes in.
Your Honor, he is known to the state already as
William M. Dennis.
Yes, as Mr. Dennis.
The court will find that I know him from prior occasions.
This is going to be dismissed with prejudice. However, in order for his driver's license to be reinstated, there are reinstatement requirements that he must fulfill at licensing.
Okay, Mr. Dennis. First of all, I'll grant the motion. It will be dismissed with prejudice.
Okay, thank you.
Dismissed with prejudice means the case is permanently over. Done. Finished.
Mr. Dennis, I believe the state is being...
Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
It seems everyone wants this case over. That is, except for the defendant.
To my knowledge of my peaceful volition, he's with this calling of the cooperation
Sir?
with the human
Sir?
beings of this court room.
You're being
For the
disrespectful.
creation of
Dennis can't quite see the gift he's been given and throws out a few more hyphens.
mind body healing and organic food growing.
Sir,
With the three of the cops,
please have a seat in the front.
It takes some assistance from the bailiff for Dennis to get the message. But on his way back to the gallery, he gets a few more hyphens in, just for good measure.
Male-liver, by the correct hyphen, sentence hyphen, structure hyphen, communication hyphen, passe hyphen, syntax hyphen, grammar.
Sir, please have a seat in the front row.
Remember cutting the victim's throat?
No, sir.
Next, we head to Idaho Falls, Idaho. The defendant is Brian Drips, who's in court for a plea deal in the rape and murder of Angie Dodge, which occurred over 23 years ago. So what took so long? At the time, another suspect, Christopher Tapp, confessed to the crime after intense and coercive questioning by police. Tapp pleaded not guilty but was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. For years, Tapp insisted he was innocent. Then, in 2019, a DNA sample taken from Drips matched the killer. Drips was arrested and charged with the crime. Now at age 55, Drips finally appears before a judge.
Case, if you'll please stand or raise your right hand, my clerk will put you under oath.
To avoid the death penalty, Drips pleads guilty to both crimes.
Have you had a full chance to review the plea agreement?
Yes, I have.
Count 1, as set out in the information, is a charge of murder in the first degree. How do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, tell me what you did, which makes you guilty of this charge.
Murder one was I went over there with the intent to just rape her. I was pretty high on cocaine and alcohol. I had a pocket knife with me. I didn't mean to murder her. I didn't think I did, but I guess it happened. I remember, the rape part. I'm falling down her pants, and then I remember leaving. That's about all I remember. No, sir.
Do you deny that occurred?
I don't deny it. I mean, I can't remember it, though.
Next, it was the rape charge.
Count 2 is a charge of rape. How do you plead to count 2?
Guilty.
Drips is later sentenced to 20 years to life in a state prison. As for Chris Tapp, who lost nearly 20 years of his life for someone else's crime, he's exonerated.
Tapp, would you like to stand in court? Yes, Your Honor.
Thankful that I've been given this second chance of life. I've wasted 20 years of my life for something that I never did. But again, I also grew up these 20 years.
There's clear and convincing evidence the defendant is convicted of a crime for which he did not commit.
Tapp was released from prison with his good name finally cleared. That's it for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.